Okay, well thanks for coming today, and I'm excited to talk to you about how to get a job, a day job, on the internet. Now this is something that it's not new. A lot of people have spent time looking for jobs on the internet, especially in today's economy. There are a lot of people looking for work right now. So what I'm going to talk to you today are about strategies and tactics you can use to tell your story to potential employers on the internet. So the vanity search, if you haven't done this already, this is something you should do. The vanity search is where you type your own name into Google. And what comes back are whatever things Google thinks are a representation of your name. Now if you have a really common name like John Smith, a vanity search could pull up information about just about anyone. If you have a really uncommon name like Kleinschnitz or Watrous, like my own name, it may be easier to get listing on your name because there are fewer people competing for that name. But what you want to do is, it's important that you understand that potential employers and even clients are looking for information about you on the internet. They're searching Google. Are you? If you're not searching Google for information about what Google thinks is a representation of you, now's a good time to start. There's another aspect to doing a vanity search on the internet, and that has to do with social media. There's a lot of people posting things on Facebook, on Twitter. Sometimes you post things there, sometimes other people do, and Google will pick those up and put them up there. So that's another good reason to search your own name on Google so that you can see what it is that people are writing about you. Because again, potential employers and maybe even clients, depending on your situation, are going to be searching Google looking for information about you. And they want to find something. Now this is really important. When a potential employer sits down and starts typing your name into Google, they just need to find something about you. Often it's just a step in the process they go through to hire someone. So what you're interested in primarily is making sure that what they put online, rather what they see when they type your name into Google, is what you want them to see. Okay, so social networking sites. It's important to understand that privacy is a myth. There's no such thing as privacy online, and nothing you do online is private. Now, you could argue that, well, no, if I just send an email, that's private. Well, it is until somebody decides to post it. And in fact, most of the breaches of privacy, if you want to think about them that way, are a result of someone posting something about you that you didn't anticipate. And there are many reasons why people might do that. But it's important to understand that anything you do online is, or potentially is, public knowledge. Now, Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn are the three primary tools that I think you might use. Now, Twitter, I think, is of questionable value, but Facebook and LinkedIn will both play a big part. Now, there are two reasons that Facebook and LinkedIn are going to play big parts. One is that Google gives precedence to Facebook and LinkedIn URLs. So it turns out that your Facebook profile and your LinkedIn profile are very easy to get online. Now, one reason you may not want to get your Facebook profile online is if you've used it for a long time for very personal things and you don't want an employer to see it. So in that case, there's a different strategy we want to take. But it's important to understand the tools, and it's important, even essential, I would say, to understand that there are social rules in place for these social tools. Now, this shouldn't surprise you, but those social rules that you should follow are no different than the social rules you grew up with. You know, when your mom told you the golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Well, this is the same story. You're doing the same thing. You want to make sure that anything you do online is something you would do in your neighborhood, in your school, at a job. So make sure that the way I said it here, if you wouldn't do it to your neighbor, don't do it on Facebook. Okay, so LinkedIn. If you don't know them, don't connect. Now this is really important. There are some people that think, oh, the more connections I have, the better I'm going to look. And that's a fallacy especially when you consider what the strength of LinkedIn is. The strength of LinkedIn is having a collection of people, professional associations typically, I would say. I don't generally connect to people on LinkedIn where I don't have some professional association with them. There are a few exceptions, but in general, what I do on Facebook or on LinkedIn is just of a professional nature. And there are lots of times, lots of people that have asked me to connect on LinkedIn, and I just say no. So as it turns out, you want to be selective about who you connect with on LinkedIn. Now, if you do know them and you're connected to them on LinkedIn, ask for a recommendation. And I would go so far as to say that there is no good reason not to get recommendations. I've heard some people make arguments that you don't have control over what people say or this or that. You can choose not to publish a recommendation that somebody suggested about you, but get recommendations if you can. And I would say also give recommendations freely. The reason you want to do that, and by the way, only if they're genuine, but be free with highlighting people's strengths, because again, you want them to do the reverse for you. Now, another interesting aspect of LinkedIn is their question and answer mechanism. They've got a tool built into the site where you can ask and answer questions. And if you really do have expertise in something and you can give the best answer, well, it's in your best interest to, because as soon as somebody flags you or says, yes, this is the right answer, then you are identified as having expertise in the category where that question was posted. So that can be a big boost to you. So definitely, if you have expertise, spend time answering questions on LinkedIn. Now, another thing, and I think this goes a bit against the grain, is freely introduce people. If you know somebody that's looking for work and you happen to know somebody that works in that industry, then introduce the two of them on LinkedIn. Send an email. There seems to be an idea of, no, I want to save my favors. Like, for example, if you have goodwill with a particular person and you think, someday I may need to call in that favor for myself, so I don't want to do that on behalf of a friend. Well, the result is that you actually lose whatever leverage you might have with that person. Now, the reason I say that is that favors, goodwill, they're kind of like milk. They go bad if you leave them long enough. So rather than wait until they go bad or rot, what you should do instead is use them. So a good book that I recommend about that is Never Eat Alone by Keith Ferrazzi. And it kind of goes over that same thing. While you've got these associations, you may as well be using them. And if you're using them in behalf of other people, there's no telling when those people might come back to you and give you a recommendation or help you connect with somebody that could give you a job. So what employers want to see? I would say this depends on the type of the position. You want to present yourself in a manner consistent with the type of work you're looking for. If you're looking for work as a CEO, you want to make sure that the things you say are consistent with what a CEO would do. Now, on the other hand, if you're looking for work as a technician of some sort, then you want to make sure that the way you present yourself is consistent with a technician. You don't want to try to be a CEO if you're looking for technician work, and vice versa. And there's nothing wrong with looking for technician work. In fact, a lot of technicians, and I arguably, I may have a broad definition of the word technician, but I think anybody who does something that's trade related, that could be writing software, it could be nursing, those are trades. So if you're going to apply to be a nurse or a software developer, there's no sense trying to be a CEO. You may as well be the best software engineer you can and let all of your communication represent that. More information is better than less. You want to pay attention to the details, grammar, spelling, presentation, those all matter, and you've heard that before. It pays to let somebody else take a look at your resume, at your websites, different things before you post them. Now, with that in mind, don't let grammar get in the way of publishing content that might potentially be appealing to an employer. So, be consistent. Now, this will come up in a few minutes when I talk about building your own website. But when I say be consistent, there's a book called The War of Art, and I think it would be really worthwhile to read that book. And when you read The War of Art, what he talks about is just have a routine so you go through the same thing every day. And the consistency that you develop will be really beneficial from the perspective of an employer. What they want to see is that you produce consistent daily results. And those are actually more appealing to most employers than occasional or infrequent bouts of absolute brilliance. So remember, consistency matters. Okay, so now let's get into the next part, and this is let Google work for you. And more or less, if you can get Google to put your name on the top of their listing when somebody types in your name into Google, you're getting an endorsement from the largest search engine in the world. Now, why Google matters? Google is considered as a trusted, objective third party. If I say something about myself, you may or may not believe it. If Google says it about me, you're going to believe it. So you want to leverage that position that Google has built for itself in your own benefit. You want to leverage that to get yourself employment. Google sees and remembers everything, sort of. So it's important to understand that as Google looks at the world, it can only take in documents. It can take in text. In some limited forms, it can take in audio and video about you. So you want to make sure that you, how should I say this? You want to make sure that as you trusting Google, you give it the information that you want it to present back. Okay, and then most importantly, this is the real crux here. You can make Google say what you want. I should say the easiest way to do this, and you might snicker a little bit when I say the easiest, but the easiest way is to build a website. And there are a few free options. There's WordPress.com and Blogger. I think these are the two most popular platforms. By far, these are going to be the easiest, and they're free. So you can set up a website today in a matter of minutes. Now, you always want to use your own website, or I'm sorry, your own name for your website. So if my name is Daniel Watrous, and I want my website to be danielwatrous.wordpress.com. So that's really important, and I'll get to why in a minute, but the main reason is to understand that you're trying to get your website to be listed at the top of Google's search engine for whatever it is that you're searching for, or for you. You want Google to put you at the top of the search engine for your own name, and so that should be the name of your blog or website. Now, always use your name. Okay, now there's one exception to always use your name, and that would be if you have expertise that is very, very niche. So, for example, if you have expertise installing a specific type of thermostat in a commercial building, then there may be benefit to creating a blog about that specific expertise or skill that you have. Now, if you don't have something like that that's in demand, then I would say don't waste time with that. Instead, stick with your name. Now, the other thing is, don't get scared. Creating a website is easy, and you may or may not believe me, but really in a few minutes you can set up a WordPress.com or a Blogger website, and posting new content to your website is as easy as sending an email. Now, once you have your website, you want to get links back to your website. Now, this is really important to understand. You've got, this is what a link looks like. You've got the A, which is an anchor tag, and then inside you have an href, which says, mywebsite.com or whatever page you're linking to. And then there's text in between where that tag opens over here and where it closes over here. And you'll notice that I've put my name in there, Daniel Watrous. Now, like I mentioned a minute ago, Google sort of remembers everything on the internet, sees everything. Well, most importantly, Google sees this text, and that's what Google can work with. Computers are great with text. And so what you want to do is give Google your name as text right in here, which tells Google that this website is the best representation for your name. Now, the more links you get, the better, and you want a variety of backlinks. And the easiest way to understand how backlinks work, a backlink, the easiest here, think about it like this. Think about it in terms of magazines and newspapers. When you get a newspaper, you open it up, and if it has an article about somebody, that person has some popularity or some recognition. Now, same thing goes for a magazine. If that one person appears in both the newspaper and the magazine, their popularity increases. And that's exactly how Google looks at these little links. They say, well, if somebody else on another web page, not your own, creates a link pointing to you with particular text, then you have some popularity. If you get dozens or hundreds of these links pointing back to you, the more you get, the more popular Google considers you, and it's easier for you to push your name up to the top when somebody types in your name. The best training on backlinks, it's free, and it's at challenge.co. This is something that Ed Dale puts together each year, and if you've never heard the name, don't worry about it, just go to challenge.co. And the training last year, it was Module 3, and it was on backlinks, and it shows you exactly how to create these backlinks and get your name up to the top in Google. Okay, so now the next trick is you want to publish your expertise. So now you've got your website, you understand how to build some backlinks to it. The next trick is to publish about yourself. Now, some people hate writing. I don't care. I would say get over it. But if writing really isn't your thing, you can do audio, you can do video, you can do images, you can do any type of creative thing you can think of. If you can produce a representation of it on the computer, you can publish it on your website. When you're looking for work, or even if you're looking to get new clients, then some really great ways to produce content. You can produce a series of content, so part 1, part 2, part 3. You can produce tutorials. You can create case studies for jobs and work that you've done in the past. Now, I've put the same bullet here twice, and this is really, really important. Give your best information away. There tends to be an attitude of, well, I'll give away some stuff, but I'm going to keep my best secrets for myself. But I can promise you right now, if you show your absolute best stuff, just put it all out there for the world to see, you will build more authority and more credibility in the eyes of a potential employer and in the eyes of potential clients, depending on your situation. Now, while you wait for Google to put your name up at the top, and while you work on this content, because a lot of these strategies, whether it's the social media, whether it's getting Google to give you listings so that you have a third-party endorsement, you want to make some money. So let's talk a little bit about making money. And the easiest way I found to do this is to use the modern freelancing websites while you look for a job. So now, get work today. The freelance websites have work for you to do right now. Literally. If you wanted to work, you could be working probably by this evening, depending on the site. Some of the most popular websites include elance.com and odesk.com. Those are both sites that allow people to post jobs, and you can go and post bids on the work. They have all kinds of work. You can do administrative assistant work, support work, computer work, creative design, writing, proofreading, you name it, they have a category for it. Now, a lot of employers, now this was really popular back, maybe 15, 20 years ago. Employers take a big risk when they hire someone. So what a lot of employers will do is they will create a temporary position in their company when it's actually a full-time position, and they'll hire temps and bring them in and let them do the work for a week or so until they find someone that does a really fantastic job, and then they'll transition that person over to a permanent full-time position within the company. A lot of the jobs that I see posted on elance.com and Odesk will turn into more work, long-term work. Now, it may not turn into the type of full-time job you're looking for, but it provides some consistent income while you're looking. Okay, so now another great aspect or feature, if you want to think about it that way, of these freelance websites is that they allow you to take tests and get reviews. So if you have a particular type of expertise, there's a good chance they have a test on their website which will allow you to verify or prove that you have it, and that becomes part of your profile. So if you know a lot about proofreading, they've probably got a test for that. So you can go in and take their test on proofreading, and when you're done, they'll say this person has tested it and is approved in proofreading. Now that endorsement from Elance is very powerful when you're looking for work. Now, the other aspect is you can get reviews. And the reviews that I'm talking about are when you do a job for an employer, for somebody, a contract job on Elance, they can give you a review and they can rate you on the quality of your work, your communication skills, how quick you were at finishing it, and so on. And you want to get those reviews. Those are golden when it comes to showing people that you know how to finish a job, getting more work, and even getting a full-time day job. Now, employers also like to see that you keep busy. We all know the unemployment rate is really high right now, but if you sit on your duff and don't do anything, and you just wait around looking for the right job for a year, it gets harder and harder for an employer to employ you. They want to see that you're busy working, actively engaged, doing whatever it is that you're good at. So an Elance or an Odesk, one of these freelancing websites, is a spectacular way to keep working and to keep your skills fresh, keep your resume fresh, and be building up this the ratings and the credibility that comes from the ratings while you're looking for work. Okay, so that's all I had today, and now I'll take a few questions. Oh, and if you want to know more about me, you can check on my website at danielwatrous.com, or you can go to facebook.com/danielwatrous.imsoftware. Thanks. Have a great day.